I mean, they got a concordance for the King James. There's not no for no other book. Is there a concordance for the NIV? I
don't know. That may be.
I don't think so.
If it's already all the way right, what's wrong with the concordance for?
I'm talking about the concordance to get an understanding of the words. But
Then they translate it right?
what you mean?
If it's translated perfectly.
So you think these modern English words got the same meaning as these English words in this Bible?
No, I'm asking you,
Right.
if it's translated perfectly,
Right.
then what do you need a concordance for?
Know that.
Because I don't know the definitions of some of these old English words. Oh, we're talking about NIV.
That whole, it's the closest thing to the Hebrew.
I mean,
No, it's not. It's bad. It's bad.
What the King James?
Oh, it's awful. Oh.
So what book do you recommend?
I like the Hallelujah.
Does that line up with the King James?
The Hallelujah?
Yeah.
Not really.
Let me see that.
The King James, real talk, the King James might be one of the worst translated Bibles.
You gotta tell them in the right way.
It's not a very good translation.
That's the book I like to do.
It's just as bad as the 1911 King James.
Can I see your Hallelujah scripture real quick, me?
Yeah, hold on. We got to pray and stuff.
Oh.
Hello.
So you don't like reading out the King James?
Yes.
I'll read from it. You just gotta know how to, like the scripture says, rightly divide the word.
Ain't that what we've been doing? We got our study tools, our Bible dictionaries, our concordance.
It ain't nothing against reading it. You just, that whole thing that we was taught in the beginning was that it's the best track. It's not.
Right. Yeah, it's not. Hello. No, we can't FaceTime. We want to stop. Y'all ready to pray? Let's pray. It's not to discourage you from reading it, but just understand.
I want to look at I want to go through my scriptures and see what the Hallelujah say that's different.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I will invest in one.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
Is it like the Sefer?
No, I don't like those either.
Sefer goes like King James.
Yeah. Well, it just puts an agenda. You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah,
whole
that Elijah one.
Yeah.
Oh, you got the dream in there, right?
Oh, my goodness. All minds clear? Debunking or Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 4. Hear, O Yisrael, Yahuwah our Elohim, Yahuwah is one. Shema Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael.
Yahuwah Eloheinu.
Yahuwah Eloheinu.
Yahuwah Echad.
Yahuwah Echad.
Shemot, or Exodus chapter 20 at verse 3. We will have no other mighty ones.
We will have no other mighty ones.
Against the Most High.
Against the Most High.
We will not make any carved image.
We will not make any carved image.
Or any likeness.
Or any likeness.
Of that which is in Shamaim above.
That which is in Shamaim
Or
above.
which is in the earth beneath.
Which is in the earth beneath.
Or which is in the waters under the earth.
Which is in the waters under the earth.
We will not bow down to them.
We will not bow down to them.
Nor serve them.
Nor serve them.
For Yahuwah our El
Yahuwah our El
is a jealous El,
is a jealous El,
visiting the wicked
visiting the wicked
of the fathers on the children,
of the fathers of the children,
to the third and fourth generation
to the third and fourth generation,
of those who hate him,
those who hate him,
but showing kindness
showing
to
kindness
thousands of those
thousands of those
who love him
who love him
and keep his commandments.
and keep his commandments.
We will not bring the name
We will not bring the
of
name
Yahuwah our El
of Yahuwah our El
to nothing.
to nothing.
For Yahuwah
For
will
Yahuwah
not leave us unpunished,
will not leave us unpunished.
who brings his name to nothing.
Who brings his name to nothing.
We will remember the Shabbat day,
We will remember the Shabbat
to
day.
keep it Kodesh.
Keep it Kodesh.
6 days we will labor
6 days we will
and
labor
do all our work.
and do all our work.
But the seventh day
But the
seventh day
is the Shabbat
is the Shabbat
of Yahuwah El.
of Yahuwah.
46 days.
46 days.
Yahuwah made Shamayim
Yahuwah made Shamayim
and the earth
and the earth
and the sea
and the sea
and all that is in them,
and all that is in them,
and rest the seventh day.
and rest the seventh day.
Therefore, Yahuwah brought the Shabbat day.
Therefore, Yahuwah brought the Shabbat day.
We will respect our fathers
We will respect our fathers
and our mothers,
and our mothers,
so that our days will be long
so that our days are long
upon the land.
upon the land.
We will not murder.
We will not murder.
We will not commit adultery.
We will not commit
We
adultery.
will not steal.
We will not steal.
We will not bear false witness
We will not bear false witness
against our neighbors.
against our
We
neighbor.
will not covet
We will not covet
anything
anything
that is our neighbor.
that is our neighbor.
Father, Yah, we thank you for this day, for the opportunity to gather together, Father, to be obedient unto your word, Father, to let your word come forth, Father, and be edified, Father. We pray and ask, Father, that your Ruach will be with us on this day, that you would give utterance unto the speaker and understanding unto the hearer, so that we all may be doers of your word. We pray that you will open up the hearts and the minds of your people to receive your word, Father. Allow your Ruach, Father, to be given, Father, to impart wisdom upon each and every person, that we may rightly divide the word of truth, Father, and be edified according to your mercy, Father. And we pray and ask, Father, that any soul that is in transit, Father, you allow them to make it here safely, that you would just continue to be with us on this day, Father, and continue to give us your word without obstacle, without obstruction, Father. All these things we pray and we give thanks. Bashem Yahuwah, V'Kaya Hoshua Hamashiach, Ruach HaKodesh, so be it.
So be it.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Here you are. Brother Sean, you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to the you gotta come front, just the stand is good enough.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? My name is Brother Sean Israel. Coming from the house of Jacob. Just came to show the seed, man, see how y'all teach and everything. The good see of the camp as well, or, family, that's what we call it. We all Israel, we all one body, so, I go from different camps, you can check it out and everything. I've been in the truth about 3 years, still learning, still growing, still other things I want to understand, I've been starting to pick up on the Hebrew language a little bit. I've been praying to the Father, man, in the Holy Tongue. And, sometimes I say Christ, because, we deal with a lot of people. All they know is Jesus and Christ. And sometimes, just for edification, just for that sake, I say it. But, yeah, man, so I'm happy to be here with y'all, it's family. So,
Good to have you.
What's all praise?
Yep. Hey, feel welcome to come anytime, brother. Good to have you. Good to see you. Like you said, we're amongst family, man. You got any questions about anything that's being taught? Just, if it's something quick, we usually address it like that, right on the spot. But otherwise, kind of hold it to the end, and we usually go when we open up the floor for questions at the end. Feel free, man. Like I say, come anytime, brother.
All right.
Shalom.
See something already? It's a lot.
How's everybody? Okay, we finna get in kind of controversial topic. It's about the 1,000-year reign of Messiah and what comes after it, right? So it's a lot of bad teachings out there on this topic. Awful. And it'll have you all twisted up and confused on this. Give me Isaiah 65.
See the difference in the Bible scripture.
One second. So when you go into certain things that'll have you real confused, like, this don't make sense.
You want to read Revelation 20? Start off with that.
Nah. One moment.
Don't forget to mute your phone.
One second. Give me Isaiah 65:17.
The book of Isaiah.
Matter of fact, pick it up at verse 15.
Isaiah chapter 65 and verse 15. And you shall leave your name for a curse unto my chosen. For the master Yahuwah shall slay you and call his servants by another name.
By what?
By another name.
Go ahead.
That he who blesses himself in the earth shall bless himself in the Elohim of truth. And he that swears in the earth shall swear by the Elohim of truth, because the former troubles are forgotten.
The what trouble?
The former troubles are forgotten.
So he's talking about another time. He says, the former troubles are forgotten. Read on.
And because they are hid from mine eyes. For behold, I create new heavens.
I do what?
I create new Shamayim.
He say, I create new Shamayim and what?
And a new earth. And the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind.
So right here, this is letting you know that this is a new beginning right here. It says, for behold, I create new Shamayim and new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. Now jump to verse 20.
Verse 20. There shall be no more thence, an infant of days, nor an old man that have not filled his days. For the child shall die at 100 years old, but the sinner, being 100 years old, shall be accursed.
So right here, the way that I was taught this before, that this was after the 1,000 years. And when you read this, it's like, if this is after the millennium and the new heaven and the new earth is here, how can somebody still die? Right? Don't make sense. So this whole thing has got a whole bunch of people all messed up about the kingdom to come. Because it's right here showing you that people still will die in the new heaven and the new earth. But how could this be at the end? It doesn't make sense. So we're going to find this out. All right? So we know that we've been scattered to the four corners of the earth, right? But in some kind of way, we got to get back. Isaiah chapter 43. So we're going to lead up to the fight and how all of this stuff is going to play out according to scripture. So as we read in this, it should be like you watching a movie. Isaiah 43, pick it up at verse 5.
The book of Isaiah chapter 43 and verse 5. Fear not, for I am with you. I will bring your seed from the east and gather you from the west.
I'll do what?
Bring your seed from the east and gather you from the west.
Same thing like when we was in Egypt the first time. He said, let my people go. Read.
I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from far and my daughters from the ends of the earth.
From where?
From the ends of the earth.
So it's the same thing. So Egypt in the beginning represented the world. This time he's letting you know I've got to gather you from all of the places where I scattered you at, from the north, south, east, and the west. Read.
even every one that is called by my name. For I have created him for my esteem. I have formed him, and I have made him. Bring forth the blind people that have eyes, and the deaf that have ears. Let all the nations be gathered together, and let the people be assembled, whom among them can declare this, and show us former things. Let them bring forth their witnesses, that they may be justified, or let them hear and say, it is true.
Let them say what?
It is true.
It is truth. So he's going to gather us from all out the nations. He's going to bring us somewhere. Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 33.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 20 and verse 33. As I live, says the Master Yahuwah, surely with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out will I rule over you, and I will bring you out from the people and will gather you out of the countries.
Same thing he was talking about in Isaiah, bringing you out from these people where he scattered you at. Read.
From the countries where you are scattered, with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out, and I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face.
Where did he take us when we came from Egypt? To the wilderness, right? So you can see he do the same thing over and over. It's nothing new under the sun unless he tell you I do a new thing. Right? Read on.
Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, saith the Master Yahuwah. And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant, and I will purge you out from among the rebels, and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And you shall know that I am Yahuwah.
So how many people of the original people went into the land of Israel from Egypt the first time? Only 2. That was 20 years and up. The rest of them died in the wilderness. Is what he's telling you. The same type of thing is going to happen right here. Because I'm going to purge from among you the rebels. So I've already saved y'all out from the other countries. Then y'all still going to get in the wilderness, act a fool. Same thing, right? Read on. 39.
As for you, O house of Israel, thus saith the Master Yahuwah, go you, serve you every one of his idols, and hereafter also, if you will not listen, if you will not hearken unto me, but pollute you my set apart name, no more with your gifts and with your idols. For in my set apart mountain, in the mountain of the height of Israel, saith Yahuwah Elohim, there shall all the house of Israel, all of them in the land, serve me. There will I accept them, and there will I require your offerings and the first fruits of your oblation with all your set apart things. I will accept you with your sweet savor when I bring you out from the people.
From where?
From the people.
Read on.
And gather you out of the countries wherein you have been scattered. And I will be sanctified in you before the heathen. And you shall know that I am Yahuwah when I shall bring you into the land of Israel, into the country for the which I have lifted mine hand to give it to your fathers. And there shall you remember your ways and all your doings, wherein you have been defiled. And you shall loathe yourselves in your own sight for all your evils that you have committed. And you shall know that I am Yahuwah when I have wrought with you for my name's sake, not according to your wicked ways, nor according to your corrupt doings, O house of Israel, saith Yahuwah Elohim.
So he's got both kingdoms, bringing them back into the land. From everywhere that you've been scattered at. We know that Judah was scattered to the four corners of the earth, and the other 10 tribes was mostly in Africa, in the Middle East, and in Europe. Some over here as well, but most of them is over the other side of the world, right? So he's talking about bringing you out from the countries and then bringing you into the wilderness and then bringing you into the land of Israel, right? See that? You can't get up and go on your own. Try to remember that. Can't just get up and say, I'm going myself. He got to do it. Get Ezekiel chapter 20. All right. Matter of fact, give me Revelations chapter 12. Pick it up at verse 9.
The book of Revelation, chapter 12 and verse 9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Shaitan, which deceives the whole world.
The what?
Which deceives the whole world.
Which deceives the whole world. Real quick. What's the thing he's deceiving the whole world with?
Legend.
That we've been talking about the last month and a half. That you're born with. But you don't know that you got it. Yeah. Read on.
He was cast out into the earth, and with his messengers were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in Shamaim, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our Elohim and the power of his Mashiach. For the accuser and of our brethren is cast down, the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our Elohim day and night.
He cast down where? To the earth, right? So we know beforehand it was something that happened that got him kicked out in the beginning because he was full of something, but he could still go back and forth, right? When you read the book of Job, it lets you know that he could travel back and forth, but here he's going to be kicked out for good, right? Read on.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, ye Shamaim, and you that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth.
Woe to who?
To the inhabitants of the earth.
So now he's coming down and says, woe to the inhabitants of the earth. So he can't do nothing else up there no more. So now he's coming down to get who? Yes, us. Read on.
Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knows that he hath but a short time.
So he know he only got a short time, so he coming down full of rage and full of wrath to get somebody. That it on that? Read that verse again.
Verse 12, therefore rejoice, you Shamaim, and you that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knows that he has but a short time.
So he know he only got a short time, so he gonna try to get as many people as he can. As many as he can. Remember, we have been brought out from the countries where we were at and took it into the land, right? Get me Psalms 83. Psalms 83, pick it up at verse 3.
The book of Psalms, chapter 83 and verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against your people.
Against who?
Against your people.
Go ahead.
And consulted against your hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
So you can go back through our history and you'll know that it was at no time that a conglomerate of nations came together and says, let's erase them. They just removed us and sold us away and took the name, but they didn't try to erase the name from history. This time they're trying to get rid of the name, the people all together. So 100 years from now, you will never know nothing about no people called Israelites or no place called Israel. That's the plan right here. Read on.
For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against you, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Jebal and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Ashur also is joined with them. They have holpen the children of Lot. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kison.
At the brook of where?
Kison.
So y'all go look them words up and see what happened back at the brook of Kison. It's in the book of Judges. It's deadly, right? So we see that this conglomerate of nations is going to come against us. Get me Ezekiel chapter 38. Pick it up at verse 1.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 38 and verse 1. And the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, Son of man, set your face against God, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him.
No, anybody know where these places are?
Europe. That's European. This is Jephthah's children, right?
It's not Europe.
Russia.
These places is in, where's Satan's seat at? Anybody know? Turkey. That's where his seat is at. It's in Turkey, quote unquote Asia Minor, where the Ark landed at, where the original Quran is at. All right? What kind of country is Turkey? What kind? What religion do they follow? Islam. So if you look at all of these nations that we just read from Psalms 83, what are they? They all what? Islam. Don't let your pride don't make you answer. It's all right if you get it wrong, but we in here should know because we went over it 1,000 times. It's Islam, right? So these places right here is Turkey, also where the 7 congregations in Revelations is located at. Read on.
Verse 4. And I will turn you back and put hooks into your jaws, and I will bring you forth, and all your army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya, with them, all of them with shield and helmet.
So right there it says Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, with them, with shield and with helmet. What religion you think these people are under? This ain't really Ethiopian. This is more Sudan. It's just translated as Ethiopia here. It's all Islam. Persia, all Islam. Keep it in mind. Verse 6.
Verse 6, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with you.
And many people with him. So we've got all of these places. We got the Psalm 83 thing. We got these nations right here. Read on.
Be you prepared, and prepare for yourself, you and all the company that are assembled unto you. And be you a guard unto them. After many days you shall be visited. In the latter years you shall come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people.
That's us saying that he brought back and gathered out of many people. Keep that in mind. That's what we went there first, to show y'all that we're going to be gathered from out the countries where we are. Read on. Verse 8.
Verse 8. After many days you shall be visited. In the latter years you shall come unto the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them.
They shall dwell safely, all of them. So when we get finally brought back into the land, you'll be dwelling safely, as you would think. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 9. You shall ascend and come like a storm. You shall be like a cloud to cover the land, you and all your bands, and many people with you. Thus saith Yahuwah, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into your mind, and you shall think an evil thought. And you shall say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates, to take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn your hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods, that dwell in the midst of the land.
That dwell where?
In the midst of the land.
So now all of these people will be gathered back into the land, and this person, Gog, and all the people with him, Psalm 83 cast, all are going to come against the children of Israel. Right? All of them are going to come to get the children of Israel. Get me Daniel chapter 2, verse 44. So in Daniel it talks about this statue. We ain't got time to go down it, but we know that it represents Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, and the fourth beast. Yep.
The book of Daniel, chapter 2 and verse 44. And in the days of these kings shall the Elohim of Shamayim set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed.
So it says, read that from the top one more time.
And in the days of these kings.
In the days of these kings, mentioning the ones beforehand, which is again the head of gold, the chest of brass, the arms of silver, and so on and so forth, all the way down. But it says, in the days of these kings, read.
And in the days of these kings shall the Elohim of Shamaim set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people.
So what?
To other people.
Because he's going to give it to the saints forever and ever and ever. Read on.
But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever.
How long?
Ever.
It says, but it shall break in pieces these kingdoms. But these kingdoms came after each other. But he's going to break them together, because all of them are going to come back together. So if you were to pull up a map of the Babylonian Empire and look at its landmass and see the religion that's there, you would see that it would be Islam. If you pull up a map of the Roman Empire, and you would see over 60% of it is what? Islam. I don't gotta be scared. If you pull up a map of the Persian Empire, you would see that it is predominantly what? Islam. All of these different kingdoms, if you pull a map up and see exactly where they are, you will see that they are none other than Islam. Right? So read verse 45.
45. For as much as you saw that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it brake in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great Elohim have made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure.
So it let you know that when Messiah come back, he is this stone that is cut out without hands, that he gonna break all of these kingdoms together at the same time, because they all gonna come back under the guise and join with each other to come against his people, or AKA his hidden ones. Hosea chapter 5 verse 15. When we was in Egypt, the reason that he came and saved us was what was happening? What did they do, Steiner? Cried out. They was doing something to him. Hosea chapter 5 verse 15.
The book of Hosea chapter 5 and verse 15. I will go and return to my place.
This is Messiah saying, I will go and return to my place. Read.
Till they acknowledge their offense and seek my face in their affliction. They will seek me early.
He says, in their what? Verse 15. Just read that.
Okay.
Read the whole thing again.
I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense and seek my face in their affliction. They will seek me early.
He says, acknowledge their offense, and they will seek my face, and in their affliction, they will seek me early. So we was being afflicted in Egypt, right? This is what made us finally cry out. The same thing. He said, you're going to have to acknowledge your offense. That means you're going to have to confess what you have done. Then you're going to have to cry out. It's another prophecy he gave on this. Matthew chapter 23, verse 39. You're going to have to say this as well.
The book of Matthew chapter 23 at verse 39. For I say unto you, you shall not see me henceforth till you shall say, increased is he that comes in the name of Yahuwah.
Read that again.
For behold, I say unto you, you shall not see me henceforth till you shall say, increased is he that comes in the name of Yahuwah.
So you got to acknowledge your offense, right? And you're going to cry out. Then he says, you is not going to see me until you say this. Blessed is he that comes in the name of Yahuwah. Because a lot of people don't believe in him. But you're going to have to say this, or you're going to die. Right? Let's get Joel chapter 3. Pick it up at verse 1.
The book of Joel, chapter 3 at verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land.
So we notice in the first verse it says, for behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. It's all the same time period that these things is taking place. Jump down to verse 12.
Verse 12, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about.
Go ahead.
Verse 13, put you in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe.
For the what?
The harvest is ripe.
Anybody know what he talk about that again right there? It says, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe.
The harvest is a gathering. So gathering.
Yeah.
You know how they use the sickle, how it's starting when they swing the sickle, it gathers. We gonna pluck this up, so.
Right.
And then he said the harvest is right, and when you ready, let's go.
So put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fat overflow, for their wickedness is great. Y'all remember the lesson we did on Gideon? What was Gideon? What does his name mean? Hewer. Chop, like to cut something down. Right? He's like a lumberjack. Micah chapter 4, verse 11.
The book of Micah, chapter 4, verse 11. Now also, many nations are gathered against you that say, let her be defiled, and let our eye look upon Zion.
Look upon where?
Look upon Zion.
Notice again, it's the same time. Now also, many nations are gathered against you that say, let her be defiled, and let our eye look upon Zion. So you back in the land, and all of these different nations, these different factions are going to come to get you, to come to destroy you. Zechariah chapter 12. Got to build this foundation. Zechariah chapter 12. Pick it up at verse 1.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 12 and verse 1. The burden of the word of Yahuwah for Yisrael, saith Yahuwah, which stretched forth the Shamayim and laid the foundations of the earth, and from the Ruach of man within him, and forms the Ruach of man within him. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, when they shall be in the siege booth.
So right here it says, I shall make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about. What does round about mean?
On the outside,
So Jerusalem is here, and the nations that surround it. What kind of people surround Israel today? Today. Islamic people, right? Kind of all making any sense? Because that's the people that surround the land. That's the people that know exactly who we are. Right?
I believe that. Is this talking about why Christ is here or why he's not?
This is before he gets here.
Okay.
But this is us being back into the land, being brought out from the countries forever. Everywhere we've been taken to, we're going to be brought back into the land.
Before he did that?
Yes. All right. What verse you at?
2.
All right. Read on.
Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, when they shall be in the siege booth against Judah and against Jerusalem. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all the people, a burdensome stone for all the people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces.
They're going to be what?
Cut in pieces.
Cut y'all to pieces. Go ahead.
Though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it.
He said, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. So it's letting you know that all the people on the face of the earth are coming to get you. If you follow his word, they're coming to get you. Keep that in mind. That sounds kind of scary. Like, he's going to bring you out, and all of the people from all over the face of the earth is coming to get you.
We did that same thing when we had left and been Pharaoh. Call this up trying to come back and get us when it ain't work.
We going there.
It's repeating itself.
Exactly. Nothing new under the sun. Joel chapter 3 again. Joel chapter 3, verse 11. We're building this foundation so you can clearly see what's going to be taking place. Joel chapter 3, verse 11.
Joel chapter 3 and verse 11. Assemble yourselves and come, all you heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause your mighty ones, there cause your mighty ones to come down, O Yahuwah. Let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there I will sit to judge all the heathen round about.
He say, let the heathens be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there will I sit to judge all the heathens that are round about. Same people that's been fighting with us from the very beginning of us becoming a nation. Verse 13.
Verse 13. Put you in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great.
For their what?
Their wickedness is great.
For their wickedness is great. Get me? Matter of fact, read verse 14.
Verse 14. Multitudes, multitudes, in the valley of decision. For the day of Yahuwah is near, in the valley of decision.
Notice it says, for the day is near. It ain't here yet, but all of these people have gathered themselves together. Multitudes and multitudes. Remember all the different nations we read by name, right? Multitudes and multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of Yahuwah is near in the valley of decision. Get me Revelations chapter 14 and verse 20.
Now, when Joel, is that him in the flesh sitting the judge, or are you just going to bring destruction?
The judgment ain't even coming. It's the books. Everything is already in the books. He tell you when I come with my reward to give every man according to his works. So the judgment is actually already set. Just like his book is down here on the earth and we can read it, our book is up there in the books, in the judgment. Revelations 14, verse 20.
The book of Revelations, chapter 14 and verse 20. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse bridles, by the space of 1,600 furlongs.
So it's going to be this much blood. He's talking about this wine press. Keep this in mind. He's talking about a wine press. Zechariah 12 and 9.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 12 and verse 9. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem.
He said he's going to do what?
Seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem.
So in that day, I'm going to seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. So they are coming to destroy us. They're coming to destroy his people. What do you think the reason that they are coming against his people? What do y'all think the reason that they coming?
Because we the key to him coming back. Deuteronomy 30.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tell them.
I said because we're the key to Christ coming back. Deuteronomy 30.
But this is the reason that they are trying to get rid of his people. Right?
Because we ain't gonna work for them for free, then they're gonna let us die.
So keep that in mind. This is the reason that they are coming to get you. All right? So remember, he says, you ain't going to see me till you cry out in afflictions, right? And you got to say something. Get me Revelation chapter 16, verse 16. So as they coming against us, we're going to have to cry out and he's going to have to come down. Revelation 16, 16.
The book of Revelation, chapter 16 and verse 16. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon.
Called what?
In the Hebrew tongue Armageddon.
Called Armageddon. So they don't even know that they coming against us, but he actually setting them up. He gathering them there to do this. So it says, and he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. So it's actually him setting a trap for them to get them. Revelation 19, 19.
Book of Revelation, chapter 19, at verse 19. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army.
And against what?
His army.
So now he says he got all of his people in the place that he wants them to be at. Now the armies, he got them gathered there. Then it says, and I saw the beast, the anti-Mashiach, and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him, which is, who is this him? Mashiach, to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. So now the battleground is all set up. See how it's playing out? He got his people from all over the nations, brought them back to where they're supposed to be at, right? And all of these different nations from around the world is going to come against his hidden ones, his chosen people, to destroy us. That the name Israel be no more in what? In remembrance. So it's going to be a bunch of them. Zechariah chapter 2, verse 8. Zechariah chapter 2, verse 8.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 2 and 8. But thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, after the esteem hath he sent me unto the nations.
Unto who?
Unto the nations.
That did what?
Which spoiled you. For he that touched you touches the apple of his eye.
So now when you coming against his people, you touching the apple of his eye. How you think you feel about that?
Think somebody sticking you out like their finger.
You touching the apple of my eye.
You silly.
He say, for the nations which spoiled you, but he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye.
That's what he said.
It's Messiah speaking. Verse 9.
Verse 9. For behold, I will shake my hand upon them.
Ooh, that boy say, I'm gonna shake my hand at you. Imagine that big hand.
Fred G.
He say, I'm gonna shake my hand at you. Go ahead.
For behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants. And you shall know that Yahuwah of hosts have sent me.
Go ahead.
Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion.
Oh, who?
O daughter of Zion.
The people of Zion, sing and rejoice. Read.
For lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of you, saith Yahuwah. And many nations shall be joined to Yahuwah in that day, and shall be my people, and I will dwell in the midst of thee. And you shall know that Yahuwah of hosts have sent me unto you. And Yahuwah shall inherit Judah, his portion in the set apart land, and shall choose Jerusalem again. Be silent, all flesh.
Be silent, all flesh. Go ahead.
Before Yahuwah, for he is raised up and out the set apart habitation.
So it says, be silent, O all flesh, before Yahuwah, for he is raised up out of his Kodesh habitation. What does that mean? He got up now. This means you finally cried out. I'm getting up off of my seat. And now what I got to do? I got to come down because y'all touching the apple of my eye. Now you finally done cried out. Blessed is he that comes in the name. All right. Now you confess your offense. So now you got to come down and save you. Right? Let's see. Revelation 14:14.
The book of Revelation, chapter 14, at verse 14. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a gold crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle.
There you go again. I told you, you touched the apple of my eye. Now he got that sharp sickle in his hand. He got up. Remember the other verse said that he leaving his holy habitation. Now he got up. Now he's on his way down. Read. Verse 15.
Verse 15. And another Malak came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust your sickle and reap, for the time is come for you to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. And he that sat on the cloud thrust his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped.
And the what?
The earth was reaped.
And the earth was reaped. Go ahead.
And another Malak came out of the temple, which is in Shamaim, he also having a sharp sickle. And another Malak came out from the altar, which had power over fire.
Had power over what?
Over fire.
Had power over fire. Got to keep that in your mind. Had power over fire. Read on.
And another Malak came out of the temple, which is in Shamaim, verse 18. And another Malak came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, thrust in your sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe.
For the grapes are what?
Are fully ripe.
Fully ripe. What color is the stuff from grapes? What does it look like? Like what color would it? Red. Oh, I wonder why you say that. You'll see.
It's fully ripe. I mean, you know, ripe is ready to be picked and eaten.
So it's fully red. I want y'all to remember that. Talking about them like grapes. Red. All right? Keep that in mind. Verse 19.
Verse 19. And the Malak thrust his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the wine presses of the wrath of Elohim.
And so these grapes, he says, and the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great wine press of the wrath of Elohim. So this is the people on the wrong side of the judgment. Right? So these grapes that he's talking about, they're going to be gathered into the wine press. Verse 20.
And the wine press was trodden without the city, and the blood came out of the wine press, even unto the horse bridles.
So the blood is going to be so high that it comes up to a horse's bridle. We'll find out exactly why this is in a minute. So these people, he's comparing them to grapes that he's going to trot them down, that he's going to stomp on them. How you get your wine?
Stomp on.
Isaiah chapter 63, verse 1.
Isaiah chapter 63 and verse 1. Who is this that comes from Edom?
Come from where?
From Edom.
Who is this that comes from Edom? Where is Edom at? Is that in America?
No.
That's not in America?
No.
Where is it?
Saudi Arabia.
Wait a minute. And what kind of country is that? What do they practice? Oh, okay.
That's what we're just talking about.
Read that again.
Who is this that comes from Edom?
Who is this that comes from where?
From Edom.
From Edom. Go ahead.
With dyed garments from Bozrah.
Wait a minute. What kind of garments he got on?
Dyed garments from Bozrah.
What y'all think is dyeing his garments? What was he talking about in that last verse? It said he called them grapes. Read on.
This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength, and I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Wherefore are you red in your apparel?
What you doing red in your clothes? They was white. Read.
And your garments like him that treads in the wine fat.
In the what?
In the wine fat.
Go ahead.
I have trodden the wine press alone.
He said, I trodden the wine press alone. What we just reading about the wine press in Revelations, where he's talking about throwing them people in there. He said, I did this what? Alone.
Alone.
Read.
I have trodden the wine press alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in my anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. Stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come.
So now that these people touch the apple of his eye, it makes him get up from his throne. Now I got to come down because the harvest of the earth is ripe. Now I got to get y'all. Isaiah 34, verse 2.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 34, verse 2. For the indignation of Yahuwah is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter. Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountain shall be melted with their blood.
Imagine this. This is be visual to you. The slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood. Verse 4.
And it shall, and all the host of Shamaim shall be dissolved, and the Shamaim shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down, as the leaf falls off from the vine, and as a falling fig from the fig tree. For my sword shall be bathed in Shamaim. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea.
Upon who?
Idumea.
It's another name for what? Edom. Go ahead.
And upon the people of my curse to judgment.
So this don't sound like a nice thing. Do it. This is not a nice thing. You don't want to be a part of this. Micah 4:11. So all of this stuff is setting up. He's doing it step by step. Bring the people out from the countries, put them in the land. These people all gather themselves together to make war against his people. Start doing it. Finally, you cry out to him. He get up off his throne and come down to reap the harvest of the earth. Micah chapter 4, verse 11 again.
The book of Micah chapter 4 and 11. Now also many nations are gathered against you, and say, let her be defiled, and let our eye look upon Zion. But they know not the thoughts of Yahuwah.
They what?
They know not the thoughts of Yahuwah.
So he's actually again setting a trap for them, because you don't know the thoughts of him. Everything that they doing, he actually making them do it, even though they don't know it. So when you try to avoid prophecy, you make it happen. That's how cold the Most High is with what he do. You try to avoid what he put there for you, and when you try to avoid it, you make it happen. Bananas. That's verse 12.
Not the whole thing.
Go ahead, read that again.
But they know not the thoughts of Yahuwah, neither understand they his counsel, for he shall gather them as the sheaves into the floor.
Is he doing this? Zechariah chapter 14. Verse 1, Zechariah 14 and 1.
The book of Zechariah chapter 14 and verse 1. Behold, the day of Yahuwah comes, and your spoil shall be divided in the midst of you. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall Yahuwah go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet shall stand in the day upon the Mount of Olives.
Don't do what?
Stand in the day upon the Mount of Olives.
Go ahead.
Which is before Jerusalem, on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west, and there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north.
So he says when his feet hits on the Mount of Olives, so this is him coming down from the Shamaim, and his feet stands on the Mount of Olives. When he do this, it's going to be a great earthquake that the mountain going to split in two. And it's going to be a valley between these mountains. That's where the blood going to be at. That's going to be so deep in between that mountain right there. Again, he is setting them up but they don't know it. Read verse 4 again.
Verse 4. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem, on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave to the midst thereof, toward the east and toward the west, and there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north.
Toward where?
Toward the north.
Go ahead.
And half of it toward the south.
So right here, we'll be waiting on him to get here, running from us. And in this time, he's going to give some of Judah some type of a power. Let's see it. Get me hold that. We're coming back. Get Zechariah chapter 6. Zechariah chapter 12, my bad. Zechariah chapter 12, verse 6.
Zechariah chapter 12 and verse 6.
Matter of fact, pick it up at verse 5.
Verse 5. And the governors of Judah shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength, and in Yahuwah of hosts, their Elohim. In that day will I make the governors of Judah like an hearth of fire among the wood, and like a torch of fire in a sheaf, and they shall devour all the people round about on the right hand.
So these people of Judah is going to get this power for a moment to be able to defend the land until he actually get there to get them. Read that verse from verse 6 again.
In that day will I make the governors of Judah like an hearth of fire.
It's got to be the 144,000. Some of them. Go ahead.
Like a hearth of fire among the wood, and like a torch of fire in a sheaf, and they shall devour all the people round about on the right hand and on the left, and Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place, even in Jerusalem.
Go ahead.
Yahuwah also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the esteem of the house of David and the esteem of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah.
Completely, the way that we was learning this verse is completely out of context. See, he's going to save Judah first out of America. Had nothing to do with that. Verse 8.
Verse 8. In that day shall Yahuwah defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as Elohim.
As what?
As Elohim.
He says, in that day, he that is feeble shall be like David. What kind of man was David? A man of what? War. He couldn't build a temple because he was what kind of man? A bloody man. So he said, he that is feeble gonna be like David in that day, and shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as what?
Elohim.
As Elohim, as the angel of Yahuwah before them. So you ask yourself, well, how is the angel of Yahuwah? What does that mean? Let's get Habakkuk chapter 3 and verse 4. So remember, you say it's going to be like fire to the wood. I told y'all to remember something about fire. So let's see what comes out of Mashiach's hands. Habakkuk 3 and 4.
The book of Habakkuk, chapter 3 and verse 4. And his brightness was as the light. He had thorns coming out of his hand, and there was the hiding of his power. Before him went the pestilence.
Before what?
Before him went the pestilence, and burning coals went forth at his feet. He stood and measured the earth.
So right there, remember he just told you that these governors of Judah is going to be like him in that day. So that same thing that he got right here, these people of Judah going to have the same power at that moment when these people are coming against them. Go back, Zechariah 14 and 4 again.
Zechariah 14:4. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west. And there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half toward the south. And you shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. Yea, you shall flee, like as you fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. And Yahuwah my Elohim shall come, and all the saints with you.
So right here, they're going to flee and run from him, from the Antichrist and all his forces, right? But he's setting them up. It's a trap. Where can we find our people fleeing and some people pursuing? Egypt. Exactly. Nothing new under the sun. Exodus 14, verse 3.
The book of Exodus, chapter 14 and verse 3. For Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, they are entangled in the land. The wilderness have shut them in.
So that's right. You're going to think that this valley has shut them in. They don't got nowhere to go. They can't get away. Same thing. Read verse 4.
Verse 4. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, that he shall follow after them, and I will be honored upon Pharaoh and upon all of his hosts, that the Egyptians may know that I am Yahuwah. And they did so.
Jump down to verse 13.
Verse 13. And Moshe said unto the people, fear you not, stand still, and see the salvation of Yahuwah.
Don't be afraid, because when his feet stand on the Mount of Olives, it's a wrap for these people. Stand still and see the salvation of Yahuwah. Go ahead.
And Moshe said unto the people, fear you not, stand still, and see the salvation of Yahuwah, which he will show to you today. For the Egyptians whom you have seen today, you shall see them again no more forever.
How long?
Forever.
Forever. Verse 14.
Yahuwah shall fight for you, and you shall hold your peace.
You shall do what?
Hold your peace.
Yahuwah gonna fight for you. You ain't gonna have to do absolutely nothing. Hold your peace. Jump down to verse 27.
Verse 27. And Moshe stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to his strength when the morning had appeared, and the Egyptians fled against it, and Yahuwah overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. And the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen and all the hosts of Pharaoh that came unto the sea after them. There remained not so much as one of them.
As what?
As one of them.
Not one of them was left. You say you ain't going to see these people ever again. It's the same thing with these people. But instead of water, it's going to be the other substance. The opposite of the water. Right? Give me the reason that they want to get us. Daniel 7:25.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws.
Did this happen like a couple thousand years ago? Or is this at this time when all of this stuff is supposed to be taking place? Everybody think that this is talking about like 1,000, 2,000 years ago. It's not. It's talking about a specific time when all these things take place. This is the same guy that's going to speak great words. Verse 25 again.
Verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until the time and times and the dividing of time.
How long is that? 3.5 years. So how can we think that this is talking about 2,000 years ago when it's telling you the actual time frame that this guy gonna have you under his power? 3.5 years. This ain't took place yet. Until a time and the dividing of time. Go ahead, verse 26.
But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole.
Thank you.
And the greatness of the kingdom under the whole Shamayim shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him.
So do what?
Shall serve and obey him.
So notice he says, and it shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. So the kingdom is to be given to the people. That's why it says, and they lived and reigned with Mashiach for how long? 1,000 years. But if it ain't no people to come back to, Satan will make this a lie. This is the reason, like you said earlier, this is the reason. If I can get rid of these people, I can make the book a lie. And he won't have no reason to come back. Plus, he's a liar now. This is the reason that they are trying their hardest to get you. But it would be better off if they actually tried to destroy the sun and the moon. What do you mean by that, Mello?
Yeah, because he said in his word that he told Abraham to count the stars, and with the number of the sand of the sea. So we unnumberable. So there'll be no way, because regardless of what attempt the system, the beast, or any of our oppressors make, he already made a promise to Abraham. He already made a promise to Isaac and Jacob. So that promise ain't going to be broken. If anything was to happen in the future, he told them a lie. So we know that's not going to happen. So, they don't see it. They make flesh. They think he may attempt to do it. They believe in their weapons of warfare. And ours is not weapons. Our weapons are warfare and carnal. It's the Most High. They're not delivered. So we remember the sand and sea. They can make all the Planned Parenthoods they want and stuff like that. We ain't going nowhere. As soon as the police kill one black guy, about 10 more of us was just born. We ain't going nowhere. So
Exactly. But this is their attempt to get rid of these people. Like he said, they doing it in all ways, all facets that you can imagine of trying to get rid of these people. Parent Planhood, the food is poison. We're killing each other, all of these different things. They're trying to make you do this to get rid of you so he can't have nobody to give the kingdom over to, which would make his word a lie. But like I said, it would be better to attack the sun and the moon than to do this. Jeremiah 31, verse 36.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 31, and verse 36. If those ordinances depart from before me, saith Yahuwah, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever.
Now read that again. What is he talking about? Those what? Read that.
If those ordinances.
What are those? What is he talking about?
The ordinance, the sun and the moon.
The sun and the moon. He's saying if they cease, then the children of Israel gonna cease. Read it one more time.
Verse 35.
Yeah, go ahead.
Verse 35. Thus saith Yahuwah, which gives the sun for a light by day, and the ordinance of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divides the sea when the waves thereof roar. Yahuwah of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, saith Yahuwah, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever.
So he lets you know, as long as the sun and the moon and the stars is there, the children of Israel is going to forever be here. So it would be better if you actually tried to get rid of that as opposed to trying to come against the people, which you know you can't do that either. So he letting you know it'll never happen. No matter how many devices y'all try to come up with, it will never happen. Because the sun and the moon and the stars is not going anywhere. Right? Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 4. We'll read this again.
Verse 4.
Yep.
The book of Habakkuk, chapter 3, at verse 4. And his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his hand. And there was the hiding of his power. Before him went the pestilence, and burning coals went before his feet.
And burning what?
Coals went before his feet.
And burning coals went before his feet. Now remember, his feet came down on what? On the Mount of Olives. So it says before his feet is burning coals. Zechariah 14, verse 4, one more time.
Zechariah chapter 14 and verse 4. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave to the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west. And there shall be a great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north,
So now,
and half toward the south.
He is on the earth. Jump down to verse 13.
Verse 13. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from Yahuwah shall be among them, and they shall lay hold everyone on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor.
Anybody know of another war like this, where the armies turn on themselves and start fighting against themselves? Anybody? For 1,000 points? It says, and it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from Yahuwah shall be among them, and they shall lay hold every one on his hand on his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. Anybody before B?
In the book.
That's gonna happen in the end, in the beginning, most.
It happened in the book already.
It's gonna happen in the book.
It happened already. Boom. There you go. In Gideon, it was the same thing that took place. They was hitting them pans and stuff together, the great noise, and when they did this, all of them started running and fleeing and start killing each other. He don't do nothing new unless he say it, it's new. All right. So we see that. Zechariah 12 and 4.
Zechariah chapter 12 and verse 4. In that day, said Yahuwah.
So this is how they're going to be killing themselves. How they going to do this? Because something going to make them do it. Read.
I will smite every horse with astonishment, and his rider with madness.
Is this talking about tanks, or is this talking about tanks or something? This is helicopters, or this not Apache helicopters and stuff? Or I forgot, Zechariah probably don't really know what an Apache helicopter or a tank is, so he just describing it to the best of his ability. No, it's what it say it is. It's horses for real. Don't let nobody fool y'all and say this talking about tanks and stuff. No, it's going to be a primitive war. Keep this in mind. He's telling you this over and over. We're going to see it more. Read that verse again.
In that day, saith Yahuwah, I will smite every horse with astonishment, and his rider with madness. And I will open my eyes upon the house of Judah, and will smite every horse of the people with blindness.
With what?
With blindness.
With blindness. How is he going to strike them with blindness? What would anybody take a guess? How will he strike them with blindness? He on the earth at the time. What is he? He brighter than what? He brighter than the sun. So at this time when he come down, he going to be that bright. It's him that's going to blind these people and the horses. Right? So he's going to blind these people and they're going to fight against each other. Go back to Zechariah 14. Pick it up at verse 12.
Zechariah chapter 14 and verse 12.
Let's see this nuclear bomb in action.
And this shall be the plague wherewith Yahuwah will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And it shall come to pass.
Hold on. It says, and this shall be the plague wherewith Yahuwah will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall melt away. Vision this. See the movie in your mind. He says, their flesh shall consume away or melt away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall melt away in their holes, and their tongues shall melt away in their mouths. What's causing this to happen? Is that thermonuclear weapons doing this? You said that's what it sounds like?
Yeah, I saw that on the Terminator.
Contrary to unpopular belief, what the people taught us that this is nuclear bombs, it is not a nuclear bomb that is doing this. We're going to see what's doing this, or I should say, who's doing this, right? So he said they're going to melt away. Hold that. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 24. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 24.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, and verse 34.
24.
24. For Yahuwah, your Elohim, is a consuming fire.
What is he?
A consuming fire.
For Yahuwah, your Elohim, is a consuming fire. What did it say that their eyes and their tongue was going to do? Consume away. He is the fire. Remember, he is stepping down on the earth. His feet is on the earth. He is here in physical form. He going to melt these people. This is not a bomb. He is the bomb.
He is the bomb.
Literally. Exodus 33 and 20. So these people have said that he don't exist and they don't believe in him. Exodus 33 and 20. Now you're going to see him.
Shemot, chapter 33 at verse 20. And he said, you cannot see my face, for there shall no man see me and live.
So what?
There shall no man see me and live.
They're going to see him. He said, no man shall see me and live. You're going to see him and you're going to die, because he's going to melt you where you stand. Isaiah 63. Again. Isaiah 63, verse 2.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 63, at verse 2. Wherefore are you red in your apparel, and your garments like him that treads in the wine fat? I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me, for I will tread them under in mine anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garment, and I will stain all my raiment.
What verse you at?
4.
Go ahead.
For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come.
Isaiah 66 and 16.
Isaiah chapter 66 at verse 16. For by fire and by his sword will Yahuwah plead with all flesh.
You gonna do about what?
With fire.
By water.
By fire.
Go ahead.
And by his sword will Yahuwah plead with all flesh.
He says, by fire and by sword will Yahuwah plead with all flesh. And what else?
With by fire.
Verse 16.
And by sword will Yahuwah plead with all flesh, and the slain of Yahuwah shall be many.
Shall be what?
Many.
Shall be a few.
Shall be many.
It shall be many. Jeremiah 25:33.
No, I was saying, like, as you see, it's about fire. I mean, that lets you know the truth, because he told Noah the same thing. You know, about how you want to destroy the
about water again.
Yeah. About fire. He said, told Noah the same thing. It's all coming fast right there.
Exactly. Jeremiah chapter 25, verse 33.
Jeremiah 25 and verse 33.
Because right here he says, with all flesh, and the slain of Yahuwah shall be many. Read.
And the slain of Yahuwah shall be at that day from one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth.
Wait a minute. Good grief. In this verse he says, they shall be with all flesh, and the slain of Yahuwah shall be many. Read that one more time.
And the slain of Yahuwah shall be at that day from one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth.
Even until the other end of the earth. So it's going to be nothing but death for all these people that then fought against his people. How to imagine this? It's a wasteland. Death everywhere. Keep this in mind. Joel chapter 1. Joel chapter 1. So it's death everywhere. It's fire. It's this consuming fire that's burning up everything. Joel 1 and 17. Read.
The book of Joel, chapter 1 and verse 17. The seed is rotten under their clods. The garners are laid desolate. The barns are broken down, for the corn is withered.
So everything is dying. Read.
How do the beasts groan? The herds of cattle are perplexed because they have no pasture. Yea, the flocks of sheep are made desolate.
So the beast ain't gonna have nothing to eat. The pastures and everything gonna be burned. Read.
Oh, Yahuwah, to your will I cry, for the fire have devoured the pastures of the wilderness, and the flame have burned all the trees of the field.
So it's all the trees are burned up, and all of these, the fruits and everything is gone. Read.
The beasts of the field cry also unto you, for the rivers of water are dried up, and the fire have devoured the pastures of the wilderness.
So if it's the pastures and all of this stuff is gone and dried up, and the rivers is dried up, what do that mean for the people that's in that area? Can't survive. You can't live. Revelations, but the cows would be sick too. Oh, nasty. Revelations chapter 8, verse 7. So it's talking about the trees and all these things being burned up. Revelations 8 and verse 7.
The book of Revelation, chapter 8 and verse 7. The first malach sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth. And the third part of the trees were burned up, and all the green grass was burned up.
And what?
All the green grass was burned up.
So this is why the animals can't eat nothing, because the grass is burned up. Is this what he's bringing? The earth is going to be a terrible place to be at this time if you ain't with his hidden ones, if you ain't in the safe place. Revelation 16 and verse 4.
The book of Revelation, chapter 16 and verse 4. And the third malach poured out his vial upon the rivers and fountains of waters, and they became blood.
They became what?
Blood.
So now all the water is either dried up or it's become blood. So now you won't have nothing to eat. You won't have nothing to drink. Everything is ruined. The earth is going to be a terrible place to be at again if you're not one of his people. So again, it's going to be death from one end of the earth even to the other end of the earth. So dead bodies everywhere, both man and beast. So how will he cleanse this? By fire? Let's see. How will he cleanse this? Let's see. Get me Revelations chapter 19, verse 17.
The book of Revelation, chapter 19 and verse 17. And I saw a malach standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of Shamayim.
He said to who?
To all the fowl that fly in the midst of Shamayim.
He said to the fowls that fly in the midst of Shamayim. What are you calling these? What are you calling these birds for? Read.
Come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great Elohim.
He called this a supper. He said, come, gather yourself, talking to these birds. Come to the great supper. Read. Verse 18.
Verse 18. That you may eat the flesh of kings. That you may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses.
Oh, wait a minute, the flesh of tanks.
The flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great.
So you see right here again, is letting you know that this is really men on horseback. For real. The horses are going to die as well. It's going to be from one end to the earth. So these birds are going to cleanse this. They're going to come and eat these people. Other than that, it ain't nothing left. Go ahead.
That's where they get that term, not to get too much off the subject, that's where they get the term picnic from, because it means pick a nigga. They'll take the slave's body and they'll leave that there so that flies and birds can get on the body instead of their food.
Yeah.
And that's where they get the term, that's why they said, what's your nickname? Well, that's where that comes from.
So it's going to come back on their own heads. Same thing. We're going to let these birds eat the carcasses. Let's see another witness to this. When this takes place, Matthew chapter 24, verse 27. Matthew chapter 24, verse 27.
The book of Matthew, chapter 24, at verse 27. For as the lightning comes out of the east and shines even unto the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be.
So this is when he come. Read.
For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together.
As you can see, it all lines up, right? When he come back, the slain of him gonna be many, and he says, wheresoever the carcasses are, there the eagles or these ravenous birds gonna be gathered. Because it's gonna be a great picnic that day. A great picnic is going on that day. I wonder where them red and white tablecloths be out.
It's gonna be some red tablecloths.
Daniel chapter 7, verse 11. We got to make sure that we ain't one of them.
Right.
That we not one of these people.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 11. I behold, then because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake.
So this guy that's speaking these pompous words against the Most High, like Islam do, read.
I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed, and given to the burning flame.
So it says, I beheld, and then because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, the Antichrist spake, I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed, and given to the burning flame. Let's go back to Revelations 19 and verse 20.
Revelation 19 and 20. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worship his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone.
Same thing. Over here it says he was slain and his body was destroyed and given to the burning flame. Right at the same time, all of these things is happening. Let's go back to Daniel chapter 7, verse 9.
Daniel chapter 7 and verse 9. I beheld to the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and his hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened.
What you was talking about earlier. The judgment was set, and the books were open. So all of these things is leading up, and he said a fiery stream issued from before him. Anybody know where the lake of fire is at? Where it's located at? Anybody for 1,000 points? It's a direct place. What you call it? Topaz. Let's see. That boy's sharp. Isaiah chapter 30. Remember, he says, a fiery stream issued from before him. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 33.
Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 33. For Tophet is ordained of old.
From where?
From old, of old. Yea, for the king it is prepared. He hath made it deep and large. The pile thereof is fire and much wood. The breath of Yahuwah, like a stream of brimstone, does kindle it.
This is Isaiah, what we reading right now?
Yeah.
That's Isaiah 30 and verse 33. Going over there. But now we got to find out exactly the location of this. Skip to the next chapter, Isaiah 31. This is another name for the anti-Mashiach. Isaiah 31 and verse 8.
Isaiah chapter 31 and verse 8. Then shall the Assyrians,
So the Roman.
the Assyrian,
Go ahead.
fall with the sword, not of a mighty man, and the sword not of a mean man shall devour him, but he shall flee from the sword, and his young men shall be discomfited, and he shall pass over to his stronghold for fear, and his princes shall be afraid of the ensign, saith Yahuwah, whose fire is in Zion, and his furnace in Jerusalem.
So this is where the lake of fire is at, according to the book. It gives you the direct place. For his fire is in Zion, and his furnace is in Jerusalem. It's a place over there that's called Gehenna. It's in the earth, a literal place. Now, yep. So it's a literal place, not some underworld thing. It's an actual place. Now, same time all of this is going on. Go ahead.
So 30 was just and 31 was the actual location of it.
Right. He let you know in Isaiah 30 that it is deep and wide and it's got much wood, and his voice is what lights it. Then chapter 31 is showing you exactly where it is at. But at the same time this is going on, there's so much stuff happening on the earth at this moment that when he come down, there's going to be earthquakes and things happening. Let's get Isaiah 24.
Hold on, wait, so back to
Yes.
That's the name of this.
Yep. Let's get Isaiah chapter 24. This is 2 hours. I'll stop. 24 verse 1.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 24 and verse 1. Behold, Yahuwah makes the earth empty.
He do what?
Makes the earth empty.
Go ahead.
And makes it waste, and turns it upside down, and scatters abroad the inhabitants thereof.
So he says he make the earth empty and makes it waste, and turneth it upside down, and the inhabitants are scattered abroad thereof. Go ahead.
And it shall be as with the people, so with the Kohen, as with the servant, so with his master, as with the maid, so with her mistress, as with the buyer, so with the seller, as with the lender, so with the borrower, as with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury to him. The land shall be utterly empty and utterly spoiled, for Yahuwah have spoken this word.
He said it's going to be utterly spoiled and utterly empty, because Yahuwah has spoken this word. Go ahead.
The earth mourns and fades away. The world languishes and fades away. The haughty people of the earth do languish.
What's another word for haughty? What is it? Prideful. Remember, it's going to burn these people up. Hold what you got right here. Give me Malachi chapter 4, verse 1. He says, the earth mourneth and fadeth away, and the world languishes and fadeth away, and the haughty people of the earth do languish.
Malachi chapter 4, verse 1. For behold, the day comes that shall burn as an oven, And all the proud, yeah.
All the who?
All the proud.
All the proud. Read.
Yeah. And all that do wickedly shall be stubble.
Shall be what?
Stubble. And the day that comes shall burn them up, saith Yahuwah of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch.
So we get the proud people again. So all the people that fight against him are full of pride. Let's go back to Isaiah 24. Pick it up at verse 5.
Isaiah 24, verse 5. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore hath the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned.
Are what?
Are burned.
Are burned. Go ahead.
And few men left.
And few what?
Men left.
Few men are left. Hold that in your mind. We'll have to pick it up the next time on this part. It says, but few men are left. Jump down to verse 17.
Verse 17. Fear and the pit and the snare are upon you, O inhabitants of the earth. And it shall come to pass that he who flees from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit.
So you running from one thing, and you're going to run right into the next trouble. Go ahead.
And he that comes up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare, for the windows from on high are open, and the foundations of the earth do shake.
Go ahead.
The earth is utterly broken down. The earth is clean, dissolved, and the earth is moved exceedingly.
So this is all while all of that other stuff is going on. The armies is coming after you. All of these earthquakes and mind-blowing things and storms is going to be happening at the same time. Go ahead.
Verse 20, the earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again.
So it says it shall fall and not rise again. So remember, it says, for the devil comes down to you having great wrath, because he know if he had but what? Short time, right? Read on. But somebody came down with him. Read.
And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahuwah shall punish the host of the high ones.
The host of the who?
Of the high ones.
Of the high ones. Read.
That are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth.
So notice it says the host of the high ones and the kings that are upon the earth. Who is the host of the high ones? It's Satan and his people, his demons that came down with him. Go ahead.
Verse 22. And they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and shall be shut up in the prison, and after many days shall they be visited.
So he says, and they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and shall be shut up in the prison, and after many days shall be visited. Revelation chapter 20 and verse 1.
When that face trumpet down, when that face that was like people made with sacrifice there, and you look at that place.
Yes. Moloch and them used to do their sacrifices in there.
Burn the people alive, and that's when you get that ass like that.
Revelation chapter 20, verse 1.
Revelation 20 and 1. And I saw Malak come down from Shamaim, having the key of the bottomless pit, and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Shaitan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive should deceive the nations no more.
That he should what?
Deceive the nations no more.
That he should deceive the nations no more. So while this is all taking place, something got to happen with Yah's people. Where do you think that Yah's people will be at? Holy Land? Whole earth gonna be messy. Thessalonians chapter 4. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. Chapter 4, verse 16.
1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 16. For Yahuwah himself shall descend from Shamayim with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of Elohim, and the dead in Mashiach shall rise first.
This is the first resurrection right here. This is all the people all the way from Cain and Abel's time being resurrected right here. Read that again.
For Yahuwah himself shall descend from Shamayim with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and the trump of Elohim, and the dead in Mashiach shall rise first.
This is him resurrecting these people, the first resurrection. And read on.
Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds.
So if you live through this, he says, we which are alive and remain alive shall be what?
Shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the master in the air, and so shall we ever be with the master.
Let's stop right for this one. John 14 and 1. It's a lie. That you shall be caught up, because he said he went and did something for you. The earth will not be able to be inhabited at this very moment. All the blood, all the water is blood, all the crops, everything is burned up. The animals are sick, everything is a wasteland. John 14 and 1.
The book of John 14 and 1. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in Elohim, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions.
Or what?
Are many mansions.
Go ahead.
If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also.
So this is the first resurrection. The people that's been dead is going to come up, and us that remains alive shall be caught up. He's going to take you to these mansions. It's a lot more. We've been going for 2 hours, so we'll pick it up on my next time. With that, say shalom.
What exactly is like what form would it be in?
It being
Would it be like in their own bodies, like the spirit?
no, you'll get the new you, but you'll still be you.
Well, I understand us. I'm talking about like the first resurrection. Second death?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Everybody, because flesh and blood can't inherit the kingdom.
Right.
So you can't go up in flesh and blood form. Hold on, see before you.
I was listening, where did you say the rest part was? Because I thought you went over this before.
Yeah,
And then what all is that, right? I don't know. I
No,
didn't
that's-
hear it.
no, it's in Jerusalem.
It is.
Get Isaiah 31, the last verse again. So this is all the stuff that leads to the 1,000-year reign. Before you can get to it, you got to go through all of this, and you can see how graphic it is.
Isaiah 31 and verse 9, and he shall pass over to his stronghold for fear, and his princes shall be afraid of the ensign, saith Yahuwah, whose fire is in Zion, and his furnace in Jerusalem.
So that's where it's at. Go ahead, Doc.
My question was, how are we going to be put into the land before Christ comes in?
How?
Yeah.
It's going to be different nations that going to bring you. Hold on.
You know what I'm saying? I thought that we all would have to be like, you know what I'm saying, gathered by power.
No. Some people going to be gathered. The elect will be gathered by angels, and that's going to be the ones that he was talking about that get this power in their hands to fight back. Hold on. It's actually in here, but we just didn't actually get to it.
Where I got two other questions.
Give me Isaiah chapter 60. Pick it up at verse. Pick it up at verse 6.
Isaiah chapter 60 at verse 6. The multitude of camels shall cover you. The dromedaries of Midian and Ephah, all they from Sheba shall come. They shall bring gold and incense, and they shall show forth the praises of Yahuwah. All the flocks of Kedar shall be gathered together unto you. The rams of Nebaioth shall minister unto you, and they shall come up with acceptance on my altar, and I will esteem the house of my esteem. Who are these that fly as a cloud, and as the doves to their windows? Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring your sons from far, their silver and their gold with them.
So this is a part of it right here. It says, surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring thy sons from far. So it's a physical thing right here, not a supernatural thing right
Yeah,
here.
and it said clouds, so that'd be like an airplane, because that's not for a chariot.
Right.
So you don't get there somehow.
Exactly.
Right.
So we can see that right there. Let me get. All right, bring Isaiah 14 and verse 1.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 14 and verse 1.
So it's different parts of it, but you can go over a couple.
For Yahuwah will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahuwah for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
I read that verse like 8 times, and it said that they shall bring us there, and we gonna make them captives.
But everything gonna be done righteously,
Yeah, decently.
not like
So y'all believe that like when Messiah died, he descended to the lower depths of the earth, as the Bible taught. Y'all believe that when the Messiah had died, done his death, burial, and resurrection, that he didn't descend, because that's the teaching that he descended to the lower parts of the earth and God was righteous, and that's what made him the first fruits of the resurrection. Paul talks about him being the first fruits of the resurrection. He was the one that, brought everybody back from him. I mean, you go to Ephesians. I think I know that it's called Ephesians.
Okay.
Ephesians chapter 4, 8, 9. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 8, 9. How it talks about him descending to the depths. Get a better explanation here.
Ephesians chapter 4, verse 8. Wherefore he says, when he ascended up on high, he led captivity captive, and gave gifts unto men. Now that he ascended, what is it but that he also descended first into the lower parts of the earth? He that descended is the same also that ascended up far above all Shamaim, and that he might fill all things.
So that's what I'm saying. Paul was like saying he descended to the lower parts. What would be a better explanation of right?
So he's saying that he went to hell and stuff?
No, so like I said, the Bible says the lower parts of the earth. So I was asking
what's your understanding of this?
Well, my understanding about hell being in the lower place where that's why I'm asking you, so that you
Okay, so
give better insight or whatever.
hell is like the grave. If you actually look up the Hebrew term for that, that's talking about the grave. But we were actually talking about is the lake of fire.
Right, yeah,
Two different things.
Right, you know that Bible teaches that death and hell was cast into the lake of fire. That's in Revelation. I just want you to get a better explanation of that specific scripture.
Okay.
You said hell was in a certain location in Jerusalem. I'm not saying wrong, but I just need to get better clarification of that because the Bible said how he descended to the lower parts of the earth.
That would be quote unquote the grave.
Right.
Lower parts of the earth, that would be like the grave, so to speak. It's completely different than the lake of fire. The lake of fire is its own entity. It's in a specific place where hell or the grave can be anywhere.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I said, with technology going for so much and advancing so more, how will it be a primitive war involving high horses?
You just actually read it. It says horses and chariots and men gonna die. We read the verses.
Right, I'm saying like with technology being as it is now, and this event is not happening yet. Why would it jump from guns and chariots to horses?
That's what he say. I'm gonna get you some more info for it.
Right.
Some places you can't bring tanks and trucks.
Let's go to Isaiah chapter 2. This is right after the war takes place. Watch what he say. Isaiah, pick it up at verse 1.
Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 1. The word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it came to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahuwah's house shall be established in the top of the mountain.
This is New Jerusalem coming down. Read on.
And shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, come you, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, to the house of Elohim of the Elohim of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem, and he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares.
They shall beat their jets.
Their swords into plowshares.
Read on.
And their spears into pruning hooks.
He is talking about the same thing. Primitive weapons. There's some kind of way he gonna make you where you can't use that stuff. I don't know how, but it's letting us know that it's gonna be primitive. They're gonna be actually riding horses in this battle.
And we just go just all the stuff that all these other nations working on right now, these guns, these bombs, it's just not gonna be.
It ain't gonna work.
So correct me if I'm wrong. I think you're trying to get a better understanding of, like, you know how it says in Deuteronomy how we gonna a man should die by the sword.
Right.
You know, well, we ain't out here getting swords through us. We getting bullets through us out here. And I think that's what we're getting.
Yeah, that's part of it. But I'm just saying, like, everything that the other nations have done with this technology,
Not saying
I
that
just
they
didn't
won't
have
use
no
horses and shit.
understanding
You
of
know
the
what I'm
Most
saying?
High
Not saying they
would
won't.
just not let that happen, and just like, I thought they would be trying to use those weapons against him.
They will, but some kind of way
Right.
he not gonna let that happen. He letting you know what they got.
Right.
Swords, plowshares, pruning hooks, things. Read verse 4 again.
Verse 4. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore.
So, hold on. Let's go to Revelation 16. Revelation 16 and verse 12.
Revelation chapter 16 and verse 12. And the sixth Malach poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, and the way of the kings of the east might be prepared.
So you will ask yourself this question. It says, and the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the waters thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. So if you're thinking about modern weaponry, what would you have to dry this river up for these people to get across from? Can you just fly across it? Right? But he letting you know it's specifically that this river is going to be dried up, that these people can come. So they must be on what? Horses or something, right? Because it's letting us know. But that's why you got to get all this Western mind frame thing out your mind. The book is specific, telling us.
I feel that. Is it going to tell us why and how that they got rid of their guns, though?
Let me see. I think I got you.
Like CERN and stuff. You know what they doing with CERN.
I mean, we can ask that after
that stuff ain't even real, bro.
Questions.
That's science fiction stuff. That's TV. This book don't tell you nothing about all that mess.
I said we can wait till after the trial because I got some questions. I got some other questions too.
Hold on.
I'm just really trying to get an understanding of what's going on. We can wait.
Like, I don't know if y'all know, but I don't even believe that there is no quote unquote nuclear weapons.
Right, so what they use on Hiroshima then?
Nothing. They used the bomb. They just showed you something. It's called a power of suggestion. So next time you look at that, ask yourself, if it's as powerful as they say it is, how did the camera survive that took the picture of it happening?
Yeah.
Think about it.
Right.
Oh, the bomb is laying these trees down, but the camera didn't get burned up and melted. Exactly. So you're looking at Hollywood studios. So the whole thing with the bomb that they showed you out in the desert, they took thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds of TNT and they put orange liquid or some type of powder into it. So when the bomb blew up, boom, what you see is that giant fireball go up, and they told you that this bomb could destroy the earth 8 times over. But you ain't never seen none of this stuff yourself. It's just what you've been taught. You know what I'm saying? like we was taught that the earth is a circle, it's not, it's round. And it's not. So this is TV science fiction that we have been fed. Yah is the bomb.
All praise. I agree with that. But so some way they're not gonna have them guns and none of that stuff.
Well, also you.
So what is the significance, whether it's round or flat? What's the significance?
It's very significant because they are hiding Yah with this thing. Because he tell you exactly how he created this thing, but they are making you believe that the earth is just a speck in this giant universe, and the earth is the apple of his eye. The people on earth, everything revolves around the earth. They teach you that everything revolves around the sun, which is sun worship. It's all backwards. Everything that he teaches us, they teach you opposite in school. So I can't understand how anybody that say Esau is the white man, and then you would turn around and believe what Esau, the white man, taught you in school. Doesn't make any sense. We have this stuff called water. No matter what you do with water, it's gonna always level out flat. They call it sea what? Level, right? They don't call it sea round or sea circle, do they? Call it sea level because all water, no matter what happens to it, it is going to flat out. It's going to run to its lowest places, no matter what. So they are hiding Yah with this dude, Copernicus. Is the first dude that came up with this whole globe thing. And it make you don't believe in the way that Yah say he created it in his book. The earth is on pillars. There is no pillars on the globe. You know what I'm saying?
Gravity.
If it's a ball, the people in Australia are upside down or are standing upside down. None of it makes any sense. But is anything on there?
Yeah. So we got what about that man Africanus from Rome, Italy? Okay, I'm not really sure what that was in reference to.
What about him?
I ain't really sure what that was. Which translation they use? Oh, which translation do we use? We use the King James version. King James translation, among others. I was just studying this topic. If it's the Most High and not newts, what does Isaiah 54:16 and Isaiah 9:5 mean?
Let's go there. Isaiah 50 what? 54?
Isaiah 54:16.
It says, behold, I have created the smith. What's the smith, Art?
The blacksmith.
So the smith is not a Smith and Wesson. Behold, I have created the smith. That's a guy that creates something. He blow the torch or whatever to make something. Work metals and different things or glass. Behold, I have created the smith that blow up the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. So, let's see. The waster.
When we was taught that was that nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that waster.
And notice, he says, I have created the waster.
Right.
But it's some quote-unquote white man that created the quote-unquote nuclear bomb.
Right.
He's saying, I did this. Then he says, no weapon that is formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against you in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of Yahuwah, and their righteousness is of me. So no, this is not nuclear bomb. This is something that Yah has done himself. What's the other one you got?
It was Isaiah 9 and 5. Isaiah 9 and 5.
Isaiah 9 and 5. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. Well, we done went over 1,000 scriptures about the fire to show you what this really is. It's him burning these people when he steps down. So let's get Ezekiel 39. We're going to pick it up at verse 8.
Ezekiel 39 and 8. Behold, it is come, and it is done, saith Yahuwah. This is the day whereof I have spoken, and they that dwell in the cities of Israel shall go forth, and shall set on fire, and burn the weapons, both the shields and the bucklers, the bows and of the arrows, and the handstavers, and the spears, and they shall burn them with fire 7 years.
How long?
7 years.
So we can look at this and see exactly, again, he's saying it by name. Read it again,
And they that dwell in the cities of Israel
this is after the wars.
shall go forth and shall set on fire and burn the weapons, both the shields and the bucklers, the bows and the arrows, the handstaves and the spears, and they shall burn them with fire 7 years.
Go ahead.
So that they shall take no wood out of the field, neither cut down any out of the forest, for they shall burn the weapons with fire, and they shall spoil those that spoiled them, and rob those that robbed them, saith Yahuwah.
So again, it's actually telling us again what the weapons are. Both shield and bucklers, bows and arrows, hand staffs and spears, and they shall burn them with fire 7 years. This is how much it is that it's going to take 7 years to burn all of it. Anything else on that on the chat?
Yeah, I wanted to touch that waster joint.
Yeah, beautiful.
Let's look at this one.
One moment.
Okay. So that waster joint in what was that? Isaiah 9?
Isaiah 54, 16.
Yeah, Behold, I created the smith that blows the coals on the fire, that bring forth an instrument for his work. Basically saying he created the guy that created the weapons, right? And I have created the waster to destroy. Now, when you understanding that the Most High creates all, right? So grab Jeremiah 27, because we know that when Israel was taken into captivity the first time into Babylon, right? They came through and wiped out the land, right? Who was it that wiped out the land? They basically wasted or destroyed the land of Israel during that first captivity. Jeremiah 27 and 26. 27 and 6, I'm sorry.
Jeremiah chapter 27, verse 6. And now have I given all these lands into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant.
My who?
My servant, and the beast of the field have I given him also to serve him. And
So this is the Most High saying he created the waster to destroy. But Nebuchadnezzar was the waster that wasted away Israel in the first beginning. Basically saying, like, I'm the one who created the guy who created the weapons. I create the guy who come to do the destruction. I create all things, both good and evil. He say it constantly. All things, both good and evil. And you see what he say about Nebuchadnezzar right here. My servant, right?
No.
It ain't talking about no bomb at all.
because if you go through these stories, you'll see Nebuchadnezzar laid everything waste when he came through.
For this lesson, I'll definitely study that. I need to. What's the next?
That's still just the beginning, because we still ain't getting to the actual millennium part of it, how all of that stuff works.
Yeah, that's it.
So it's a lot more.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Anybody else in here? We good? Going once? Twice? And with that, we say shalom, shalioso.
We got a question. We're gonna specify in the scripture what our new body will be like.
He said we will be like, Paul said, I don't know how it will be, but we're going to be like him. Like him.
Okay, let's pray out, y'all. Hey.
I gotta give you these.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you a few other things.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. We about to talk.
Father, y'all, we give thanks for this day. Once again, Father, we give thanks for the word that went forth, Father. We pray and ask, Father, that you would continue to edify us according to your word, Father, and edify us and bring understanding in your scriptures, Father. Your word says that you have not, for you ask not. And if any man desire wisdom, let him ask it of the Father and it'll be given, Father. We pray and we ask, Father, that you would just incline your ear to the voice of your people, Father. We stand on one accord asking, Father, that you would continue to bring understanding according to your word, Father. Continue to walk with us, Father. Lead us and guide us into all righteousness. Continue to order our steps, Father, and be a light unto our path. Put a word of strength and power into us, Father, so that we may pour out into your people who may not know of your goodness and your mercy. Father, all these things, Father, we pray and we give thanks. So be it.
So be it.
Abinu Shabbat Shemayim.
Hallelujah. Shabbat Shalom.
Ikadosh.
Ikadosh.
Shem Ka.
Shekah.
Tabo.
Tabo.
Malkut Ka.
Baruch.
Ye'aseh.
Ye'aseh.
Ratzon Ka.
Ratzon Ka.
Ba'arei.
Ba'arei.
Kasher.
Kasher.
Na'asha.
Na'asha.
Bashamayim.
Bashamayim.
Tain Lanu.
Tain Lanu.
Hayom.
Hayom.
Likim.
Likim.
Kukanu.
Kukanu.
Usla.
Usla.
Lanu.
Lanu.
Eight.
Eight.
Ashmatenu.
Ashmatenu.
Kasher.
Kasher.
Sukim.
Sukim.
Anaknu.
Anaknu.
Lasher.
Lasher.
Ashmu.
Ashmu.
Lanu.
Lanu.
Ba'al. Tabinu.
Tabinu.
Lede.
Lede.
Masa.
Masa.
Ki.
Ki.
In. Hasulanu.
Hasanam.
Ni.
Ni.
Hara.
Hara.
Ki.
Ki.
Laka.
Laka.
Hamam Laka.
Amam Laka.
Wahagibora.
Wahagibora.
Wahatifare.
Wahatifarei.
Lome.
Lomei.
Ulami.
Ulami.
So be it.
So be it.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.